Yeah.
The meeting is now called to order. Roll call, Mr. Brown.
All board members are present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now read the Carmel Clay Schools mission statement. Carmel Clay Schools will provide opportunities for all students to realize their potential in an ever-changing world. Next on our agenda tonight are presentations. Tonight, we're going to recognize the Carmel High School boys and girls swimming and diving state champions. Mr. Inskeep.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro and members of the board. Once again, it's always a privilege to bring some outstanding young people in front of you who have just represented our community in a wonderful way and really achieved at the highest level too. So I'm going to start by having members of our girls swimming and diving team come forward. These are our seniors that could be with us this evening. We do have a lot of kids in the program, over 70, which is just a huge swimming number, and we're very proud of them. Before I start saying a few moments and things about their season and the state meet, I do want to pay particular attention to saying thank you to their parents and all the parents in our program, because swimming truly is a family sport. If you've been around swimming families, you know that car pulls out early in the morning and you're like, where the heck are they going? I haven't even started my coffee yet. And then it's coming back late at night. And but what they do for our kids in our programs are that they provide all of the support that's needed. I mean, they provide the timers at the meets, they're working the computer systems, the hospitality, all the team meals, all the spirit, all the traditions that go on with our programs. I know our kids know how much they do to make it really, really a special thing. So I want to say thank you to them, and they're just positive, and you go to these meets and you can feel their energy in the stands as well. So the 4 weekends in February for us have become a very special time with the Carmel swimming program. The girls swimming and diving team led off the month with another unbelievable performance at the state meet. The Greyhounds extended the nation's longest consecutive state championship streak with their 40th straight title. Carmel started the meet with a resounding victory in the 200 medley relay with Leah DeVosh, Molly Sweeney, Ellie Clark, and Sophia Floyd leading the way. Ellie Clark won the 200 individual medley, which was the 200th title by a Carmel individual or relay team. Molly Sweeney then won the 100 butterfly. Ellie Clark followed with her second straight championship in the 100 backstroke before Molly Sweeney won another individual title in the 100 breaststroke, which is her third title in the event in 4 years. And I do think it's important to say that while this streak continues on, I think it's important to note for this group of young ladies that this is the only time that this group of student athletes is together. And this is the only time that this senior class will have the chance to leave their mark and contribute to that culture that's very impressive, because I think sometimes we get lost in the mix of, oh, it's just another year in the notch, but not for this group. And so every group takes on their own season and their own traditions and just intricate details, and this one was very close as well. So at this time, I'm going to have each of the seniors come up. They're going to introduce themselves and tell you what their plans are for Carmel after Carmel High School.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Russo, and next year I will be attending the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be swimming there and studying marketing.
I'm Molly Sweeney, and next year I plan to swim and study at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I'll be majoring in neuroscience.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Ledwith, and next year I'm gonna attend Florida International University and swim and study health science.
Hi, I'm Lucy Enoch. I plan on swimming and attending Florida Atlantic University, and I attend on majoring in elementary education.
And I just wanted to add, I'm Tom Ostrike, superintendent here in Carmel. We're very proud of the 40th straight state championship for our girls swim team. So in addition to your certificates, we did get flowers for all of you here tonight and want to present those to you. So that is from us at the district level, and Mrs. Nobis will pass that out to you. And then what we want to do also, congratulations, Mr. Chris Plum, coach of the Carmel swim team, who's also in attendance with us tonight. And so, Mr. Plum, if you would join us for a picture in the back, and parents, if you want to follow and get pictures as well, we're going to go ahead and take a picture with our champions who are here this evening. And then, girls, we'll want you to take the 40 balloons with you as well. There's not 40 balloons with the number 40, so. All right, we're going to go to the back for a picture.
Brain surgeon, yeah. Or, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know a neurosurgeon. It's unbelievable. He showed us a video of him doing surgery. Oh my God.
At this time, I'll have members of the boys swimming and diving team come up as well. And while they're approaching, I'll tell you a little bit about their state meet just a couple weeks ago. The boys swimming and diving team extended their own state title streak to 12 consecutive years last month at the IU Indianapolis Natatorium. The 12-year run is the third longest streak in any sport in the history of the IHSAA. You might be asking who's number two, because we know number one is Carmel girls swimming and diving. Muncie Burris, 14 in a row in volleyball. So we'll see in a couple years. The Greyhounds scored 408 points at the state meet, which is the fourth most in state history, and it is the third straight year they finished with over 400 points. And I can't begin to tell you how many points that is in a state meet. It's a lot. The team showed their depth throughout the meet, finishing 1-2-3 in the 500 freestyle and 1-2-4 in the 200 freestyle, which is unheard of at the state meet. The meet started with a dominating victory in the 200 medley relay featuring Carter Hadley, Yi Zhang, Jack Street, and Donald Zhao. Trent Allen then won the 200 freestyle, with Yi Zhang winning the 200 individual medley. Trent Allen followed up his 200 freestyle title with a first place finish in the 500 freestyle. Carter Hadley then won a very dramatic 100 backstroke. Had to be there. Very dramatic, though. And then the Greyhounds capped the meet with a title in the 400 freestyle relay. The relay included Trent Allen, Carter Hadley, Louis Zhang, and Yi Zhang. And again, this is a group that I think has been very special and very connected. You can see it on the deck. Their enthusiasm, not only for the sport, but for each other, I think really comes through for those that are around this group. And so at this time, we'll have each member of the seniors that are here come up and introduce themselves and tell you what their plans are for after Carmel High School.
First of all, thank you for having us and honoring us all tonight. My name's Carter Hadley. Next year, I'll be attending Southern Methodist University, SMU, in Dallas, Texas, to major in business marketing and minor in sports management. Thank you.
My name is Will Lathrop, and I'll be attending Xavier University next year to swim and also study finance.
Hello, I'm Corey Hahn. I plan on attending Columbia University and majoring in economics and finance.
Hello, my name is Lucas Biller. I'm currently undecided, but I'll be studying mechanical engineering next year.
Hello, my name is Andrew Dubois, and I will be dual majoring in finance and accounting next year at Seton Hall, as well as swimming.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Feller. I plan on attending the University of Alabama next year, majoring in biology on a pre-med track. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aiden Jennett. I plan on attending University of Kentucky, majoring in finance on a pre-law track.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Louis Zhang, and I plan on attending the University of Pennsylvania to swim and to study economics. Thank you.
All right, and at this time, once again, congratulations, Coach Plum, as well. We're very proud of you. If you don't know, Coach Plum has the most state championships in the history of the IHSAA, and there's not even a close second anywhere. He is well beyond anyone. So, Coach, congratulations again. Let's go line up for a picture.
How long is the season for swimming? It's quite a commitment, though. Like you said, they start so early.
Yeah, just when like the yeah, I mean they're still swimming because college. College. I did the early childhood like teaching, so I was just a but they can do the Carmel Swim Club.
I'll be like,
The what? No.
Congratulations again to our state champions. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. But exactly, but I'm sure we'll give you a minute, though, if you'd like to leave, in all seriousness. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm starting to imagine what she's going to be like as a young adult or teenager and stuff. It's pretty interesting. It's scary too. You don't know. You have no idea.
Typically, next on our agenda is public comment. However, no one has signed up for public comment this evening, so we will move on to consent. Tonight, our consent items include the personnel report, hiring of James Fiddler as a recess IA, claims, and payroll. As a reminder, consent in the meeting agenda refers to the designated section where routine items are grouped together for efficient consideration and approval in a single motion. Consent items typically include items that the board must legally address but should not take up considerable time. By incorporating a consent agenda, the meeting can streamline the approval process, allowing more time to dedicated critical topics and meaningful deliberation. Do I have a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve all items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Koke. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving the items on the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is our action item for this evening, is the adoption of bylaw 0167.3, public attendance and public comment at board meetings. Ms. Wheeler and/or Mrs. Cashin.
Thank you. So this is the same bylaw that we've now discussed twice in two previous meetings. So we're happy to answer any questions, but we haven't received any additional suggestions or comments since the changes that we had discussed at our last meeting. So.
Great. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the adoption of the changes to bylaw 0167.3, public attendance and public comment at board meetings?
I'll move for the adoption of bylaw 067167.3, public attendance and public comment at board meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Koke. Any discussion? Ms. Koke.
I just want to say thank you for your work on this. I really like the way it's written, and you took the feedback of the entire board and administration, and it looks really great. Thank you.
Welcome.
I would just echo those sentiments. Appreciate your work and the feedback, and I appreciate that it started organically, right? We had something pointed out by a member of the community, came back to the board, we took a look at it, did some research, and I think that just goes to show being responsive to what we hear. We'll see how it works, and hopefully, and if need be, we'll make adjustments. But great. So thank you both for your work. If there's nothing else, we can take a vote. All in favor of adopting the recommended changes to bylaw 0167.3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next on the agenda is our workshop topic for the evening, the Carmel Education Foundation Spotlight. Ms. Penix.
Organize here briefly.
Do you want us somewhere specific?
Nope, you can sit wherever. Nope.
Choose our seats wisely.
Now it's green. Oh.
I don't think we have those, so
Is it working? Okay, perfect. Well, thanks so much for having us. My name is Sam Harris. I have been on the Carmel Education Foundation board now for almost 6 years, and I have the privilege of serving as our president. This evening, you're going to have an opportunity to meet quite a few of the volunteers that serve on our board as we walk you through the work of the Carmel Education Foundation and what we do here to benefit Carmel Clay schools. Two folks who you won't hear from, however, who are guiding our slides and keeping our time. Amy Bloom, who serves as our Vice President of Operations, and Jessica Barrett, who serves, oh, there she is, keeping my time, not your time, who serves as our VP of Community Engagement. I just want to start off by thanking you again for giving us this opportunity to speak with you tonight and to share our work. First off, we just want to acknowledge that Carmel Clay Schools is exceptional and that excellence is not an accident. Excellence creates opportunity, and it also creates important questions that we hope to work through this evening with you. Rather than just tell you who we are, we want you to experience how we think, and we're going to start this evening with our governance topic.
So as a 501c3, we operate independently, am I good with, but in alignment with Carmel Clay Schools. And that is so that we can strengthen the student experience for all of our students. So before we evaluate our grant, or the grant that hopefully you all had an opportunity to read, we are going to take a moment to clarify our role.
Hi there, Stephanie Flitner. I'm our governance chair. So you'll see, oh, can I have a click? Up on the screen, there we go. A few of our governance guidelines up here. If there's one that I want the community to think about or hear tonight, it's that we're an independent 501c3 organization. We are not part of the school district. We are partner to the school district. To sort of share how our governance works, we're going to do a quick activity. I'm going to quiz you all. I'll give you some questions. Green means yes. You think the answer is yes? Hold up the green. Got a green card? Mm-hmm. That's yes. Okay. And then red means no. So for our first quiz question, can the Carmel Education Foundation endorse political candidates? What do you think? That is correct. No. Smart group. We are a 501c3, which means that we cannot endorse political candidates. That would put our status as a nonprofit at risk. Question number 2. Can the Carmel Education Foundation support public education ballot initiatives, such as a referendum? Yes or no? Correct. Smart. We can educate the public about ballot initiatives related to the public education, including a referendum. However, to do so, our board of directors would need to vote to support that effort. Again, support is not assumed. It's something that's discussed and voted on by the board independently. Question number 3. Can the Carmel Education Foundation fund district staffing or operational expenses? Correct. The answer is no. We do not fund district staffing or operational costs. Public funding maintains operations. Foundation funding enhances learning is the way to look at it. So Carmel Schools does not fund the Education Foundation, and the Education Foundation does not fund Carmel School staffing. We are separate, independent, but collaborative. Question number 4. Can the Carmel Education Foundation fund innovation not currently supported in the district budget? Yes. In fact, yay. That's exactly what we're here to do and how we operate. We're here to support innovation, enhancement, and acceleration, and our independence protects our integrity. So with that, now that we understand our guardrails, we would like to step into a decision that is modeled after one that we might have to make.
Thanks for having us tonight. I'm John Ferguson, and I am the chair of the Grants Committee.
And so tonight, we're going to take you guys through a very abbreviated grants process. And I think everybody's had the opportunity to review the mock application. Again, I just want to reiterate that this is a completely made-up grant. It's very similar to the grants that come our way, but it's much shorter and condensed, for our purposes. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So to just start off with kind of our process, we have a grants committee that meets periodically throughout the year to review educator grants as well as student-led grants. That's a relatively new grant process that we go through. All of the committee members get the grant applications in advance of our meeting. They're able to then score the grants, and then we come together as a group, and then we review what we've read. And this is kind of what we're going to do tonight. So often what I will start off with is just a very brief summary of each grant that we review. So tonight we're going to review an AI literacy and digital citizenship grant. It's a middle school grant. Approximately 240 sixth grade students will benefit directly from this grant, and the amount requested is $2,000. And in general, in summary, this is really a tool to engage students buying supplemental materials for the teacher, the educator, to be able to talk through how to appropriately use AI tools in their work. One of the things that we always require and look at whenever we're reviewing a group is, does it correlate to a current academic standard? So that's something that anybody who submits an application, they have to go through that process to make sure that it's going to be in alignment with, school curriculum. Additionally, for technology or curriculum-related grant requests, we will often engage the school district to make sure that those specific tools or those specific curriculums, again, are in alignment with how we want to support students. And so let me talk a little bit about the rubric that you guys have gotten to score. They're essentially, in the full rubric, there are 5 components. They need to address the need. They need to address the innovation or the enhancement. They need to address impact and alignment with goals. I guess that's 4. But for tonight, you guys reviewed 3 of those just so that we could have a simplified process. So now that you guys have had a chance to review the application, can you hold up your card if you think the grant should be funded or not?
No pressure here.
No pressure. Okay. So for the most, everybody, okay, we got a yellow. That's good.
Yeah.
We wanted something else. So for people who voted green, can you share a little bit about your vote and why you would support this grant? What are the components that resonate with you?
It's a timely issue, and it's new technology, and there's a lot of concerns with it. So I think it's a great great item to explore.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, and I think your comment really goes to that innovation and enhancement piece. Like this is technology that's here. This is technology that corporations are utilizing and a lot of people are utilizing. And so for schools to get ahead of this and really figure out how we're going to support our students really addresses that criteria. Any other comments in terms of, what stood out to you or what you particularly liked? Sure.
I like that it's more of a longevity grant. It seems like once you provide these tools to them, it could be used over a course of years instead of a consumable that in 1 year the benefit is over.
I love that comment, and that sustainability is something that as a committee we always talk about with every grant that comes our way. And it's not to say that small grants that impact a small group of students are not valuable, and sometimes we do approve those, but we always love to get a grant that is going to serve a lot of Carmel students, and we especially love grants when they're going to be sustainable over time and we're approving something that's going to, impact, the same grade for multiple years to get the most bang for our buck. You held up the yellow. Would you like to share at all kind of what your thought was?
Sure. I mean, I would just have some questions on how it truly integrates with what we are currently doing, because we have a whole digital literacy curriculum, and how is it integrating into that? And I don't know if the grant, this mock grant,
That's
actually
right.
explained that, so I would have questions.
Well, and that is an important question that in a fuller grant request, we would expect for that to be answered. And then additionally, we'll follow up with the school district to say, okay, does this really meet, that criteria? So I think that's a really important consideration. And one thing I want to add in terms of how our grants committee works, we have a lot of different committee members who do a lot of different things in life. And they have a lot of different perspectives. And one of the things I'm most proud of with our committee is that we have a lot of different voices who can point out gaps, who can point out different strengths. But we have a really great open dialogue, and then we end up voting, and voting kind of rules the day. So I think it's a really effective process.
Thanks, John. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself yet. I'm Peter Primison. Nice to see all of you. So I think that was a good transition into, before we add a little bit more context for this particular grant, we were curious, what information would you want before making a decision on a grant? Because as John referenced, we in our discussions come from a lot of different perspectives, different backgrounds, different expertise, and to be honest, to echo what you said, we really do appreciate having that back and forth. We're not always in agreement, and we bring about some really great conversations. So I know most of you already acknowledge that you would approve this with a green, but what else would you want? What other information would you want in making a decision?
I think I would just want to know, what is the research behind this specific program? What data shows that it would work, and how was it formed? How was this specific curriculum made?
Yeah, my question was similar, like who is the developer of the materials? Are they well-known? Are they credible? Are they proven? And then I also thought about, to the point of sustainability, is there a plan to share the results of this with the other middle schools in the district? Because I know that you have, props to my peeps, I know that you have in the past funded grants like this that then are transitioned to all schools at that grade level in the district. So I really love to hear about how the bigger picture might be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. John.
I think it's important to show outcomes in your grant proposals. So, I mean, this is super relevant. I think it ties to a lot of things that we want students to accomplish. But I think as somebody who writes grants a lot for a living, often funders are looking to know, what are your outcomes? How are you going to measure those outcomes? And I know we're talking about students, but so what is the educator looking to accomplish here with this grant? And how do we measure the efficacy of that investment?
Absolutely. I would actually say that that's probably one of the most commonly discussed points in the evaluation piece and process that our committee is interested in, because again, regardless of the result of the grant, we want to understand that it's being measured, that it's being looked at from all angles. And going back to what you said, sharing that information, we do a great job as an organization trying to communicate and share, but also we encourage the teachers, the staff, the school themselves to be sharing those best practices, and then also connecting back with you, with the administration, to say, hey, these are common requests that we're getting. Maybe this should be looked at from a bigger level than what we can provide. So there is some more information on just on the grant, which is there were 5 similar requests, limited funding pool, only 2 schools would benefit, the district sustainability in year 2, And CEF doesn't fund additional years for it. And so, you know, with that additional context, would that change any of your votes if you knew that the foundation wasn't going to fund it further? That if the benefit only impacted one classroom in one school, how would that change your vote for approving this grant? This is the interactive part.
Yay. So I would say,
Always wanted to
yeah,
say
it
that.
definitely, you know, I would probably group them in, at least for myself for discussion, in like the green, yellow, red groups. And so I would move it to yellow, knowing that context, because I think we see this as a board, and definitely I saw this when I was on CEF. There's only so much money to fund. So I would put it in the not sure and likely, see how other applications kind of pan out. And if there's more money, then, you know, if we have something left after we fund all the greens, then maybe we look at this one.
Can I ask a question just to clarify? If for when you have the, and I'm guessing the answer is yes, but when you have a whole application, are there links and specific information that then I love to actually dig into things. So
Yeah, so absolutely. So we encourage our applicants to include as much within a certain area that they can. We request a budget, pictures, links to see actual items. John had referenced that we connect with technology to make sure that it's approved, and also that that they have approval from their principal as well upon submitting. Student grants are a little bit different just because there's a video application, which is phenomenal. I would encourage all of you, and we encourage the community to be part of our committees as well. They're just so inspiring and incredible, and it makes it very difficult to make tough decisions when we do have limited funds or maybe limited information in order to approve these grants or not.
And, you know, and if I can just add for the student-led grants, those videos are probably my favorite part of being a part of, you know, the grant committee, because they are a couple minutes, but they are so creative. And, you know, to see a, you know, 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or an 11-year-old put together a video and really take the lead. I mean, they're super cute. And like Peter said, they're very inspired. Like we've got some really creative, interesting kids in our district who have great ideas. So.
Peter, I'd also like to add, so for me, first of all, I'd like to see if we can get a data privacy agreement with our technology team on this one, and if we can, that might move it, you know, forward. And then in addition to that, I agree with Ms. Wheeler, I'd probably put it in the yellow, because even though it might not be sustainable, if it's a pilot and our technology and our curriculum departments agree that this might be something good to try, hey, if we try it as a pilot and then the district's interested, perhaps then they may be able to move forward on sustaining it a little better.
We would love you on the grant committee.
So that was my question. You indicated that the community, say community who are watching, or some of the board sitting here would like to be part of the grant committee for students. How would we do that?
Absolutely, yeah. So they can reach out to Jen Penix is our executive director. Information is on the website, but can reach out to any board members. So we're always looking for committee members just to share in that discussion and have a voice and get an opportunity to see what's going on in these schools.
Just for the record, Scholarship Committee also needs some more volunteers in case anybody's interested.
We're on a limited time, so
Gotcha.
scholarships is a whole, that's next week's meeting, and we've got plenty for that. I did want to wrap up this section in just making sure you understood that in that grant evaluation process, we are looking for direct student benefit. We are looking to align to the standards and the policies and the district priorities. We're looking for innovation, right? We're trying to encourage creativity and an enhancement of learning. We're looking for that sustainability and the impact per dollar, because again, we do have limited dollars, but it's another reason that we're here and trying to make sure that we're educating everybody on what it is we do. And we're trying to make sure that there's an appropriate use of the foundation funds. So that's something that, again, makes sense written on paper, but is often very hard to navigate through. But I think we do a great job of it, and again, encourage anyone else to participate with us.
And just some final thoughts, we get a lot of great grants, but, our biggest criteria is not, is this a good grant, but is it within our scope? Because we get some grants where it's very clearly, this is something that falls under curriculum. This is something that the school district is really going to take the lead on. We also get other grants that maybe a school PTO would be more appropriate. And so whenever we're reviewing a grant, we want to make sure that it really fits the scope and the mission of the Ed Foundation. And then it's not just funding, it's stewardship. We want to be grateful and we want to be respectful for the dollars that we get, because the money that we get, we really want to make sure that there's an impact on the students and on the teachers and on the community. And so, that's number one, kind of in our head. That kind of wraps up our part. I think we're going to be moving into classroom impact now, but thank you guys.
Hi, good evening. My name is Molly Wright. I am a Spanish teacher at the high school, and I have been on the board for a year and a half now. So a quick show of hands. How many of you are able to recall some kind of classroom experience that made you rethink who you were as a learner? Maybe, kind of, sort of. So this is, excuse me, this is exactly the kind of experience that the foundation exists to create. And so our grants and the funds that we're giving to create these experiences, you can see eventually behind me, there will be some amazing photos of some of our students interacting with these grants. But we see so much benefit from the student perspective with what we're doing. For example, though I did not go to Carmel Clay Schools myself, I did get to go to BizTown. And I know that we send all of our 5th graders to BizTown, and CEF has been the one that has been donating those funds for several years now. As I mentioned, I teach IB Spanish at the high school. My seniors, some of them went to BizTown, and they still talk about it as one of the most memorable experiences that they have. However, some of them did not go to BizTown because it was before CEF was funding it, and they still talk about how angry they are that they did not get to go to BizTown. These students, during this experience, they get so much real-world experience, which is so much of what the Carmel Education Foundation is trying to bring to schools. They're learning how to apply for jobs, they're learning about bank accounts, they're learning where their money goes in a paycheck. It's a big shocker to them, as you can imagine. And so there's so many things that those students get in just this one day that carries them all the way through their Carmel experience. Beyond just BizTown, before I was on the board, I was lucky enough to receive a grant that I applied for. And so my grant, I applied for some books to create a reading library for my Spanish students. One, I bought a novel that would enhance my IB curriculum, and then I also just bought some classroom books to hopefully inspire some of my students to try to read in another language. This is a common grant that we see across all schools, all grade levels, teachers trying to supplement any kinds of resources that they have in the class. So a lot of the times with CEF, we like to say that we don't fund core curriculum, we're strengthening and enhancing student experiences with what we're doing. And so being able to see the joy that students are getting after each grant, or when we're getting the photos and the feedbacks after the grant cycles, is always so great to see the type of impact that we're making. But this is where excellence and partnership can really begin to interact. And so with that, I'm going to invite some other colleagues to come up and talk about that.
Just out of curiosity, have any of you been to BizTown? Okay, if you're ever interested in going, let us know. You can come down for an hour and share. We've got, I think, 5 more schools going this semester, and you'll leave just feeling really good. Like it is such a great experience. So everything Molly described is excellence in action. But here's something that I genuinely wrestle with in my role, and something I'm asked frequently when I'm out in the community talking to people, inviting investment. They say, if Carmel Clay Schools are exceptional, you're excellent, Why does the foundation need any support? We hear you're Carmel. What more can you need? And that's the paradox. It's a really difficult scenario and a difficult kind of conversation to have with folks sometimes. So I'm curious. We've got another. Is it up there? So two statements are up on the screen. So if you agree with these, or I would like for you to hold up either your red card or your green card on which of these statements you feel you agree with the most. Is excellence means there's no room for improvement, or excellence still requires partnership?
Let the record show that they all passed.
Thank you. Good job. That was exactly what we were hoping. But I'm curious of what some of your thoughts are on that. What if you were in my position and are out talking to X company and I say, we really would like some help for our schools, and they say, you know what? You got all you need. What can I share with them? Any ideas? I love the tidbits.
I mean, you can always be better, no matter where you are. You can always be better, and you need these. Like we heard tonight, some of the swimming people, kids that one's gonna be a neuroscience. Go study that. You need those caliber students well. So everybody needs to be able to do the best they can do, no matter their situation. So why wouldn't you help everybody? And I think it looks like what you're trying to do is fill holes in and find improvement opportunities and take advantage of it and provide help. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts?
Mine would be more from a budget perspective that if you want me to go into that,
Oh,
we are
sure.
the second lowest funded school district in the state. And so I think that's a good thing to remind for people. So I think to remind them of, yeah, we're excellent, but we are excellent with less money than most other districts. So our teachers can always use a little extra help.
Yeah. And interestingly, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we, with similar foundations, we're also probably the lowest funded foundation in the county. Well, from the big four schools within the county. So we feel that, we understand that. So if we were to reframe this, I'm going to turn this to Peter. I think there's going to be a slide up. Or I'm sorry, did anybody else have any other comment?
I was
Okay.
just going to offer that excellence doesn't happen by accident.
For sure.
So there's intentionality behind the work. And so there needs to be a constant commitment to making it happen. And so, we can have curriculum, which is obviously super important. And some of that is not dictated by the school districts, it's dictated by the state, and we have excellent staff that help to implement it. But we also need to supplement that, and that has to be done intentionally. And so it's intentional.
It is.
Excellence, and that requires constant and ongoing maintenance to keep it that way.
I really like the way that you framed it too, of inviting investment, because I think that's where our community shines the best as we continue to evolve what our excellence is, inviting those partners, whether it be individual families to cooperate or the business sponsorships as well, so that they could bring their expertise in. I mean, with all of our work pathways too, having legitimate companies that have that expertise to come in and make it an even better experience for our kids. That's really the connection that I think the Education Foundation provides, is not just the financial dollars, but the human capital as well.
And to Greg's point, you saw the example tonight, like listen to where all
Absolutely.
those young people are going to school and what they're going to be studying.
I was thinking
while
that's not what I was
balancing
doing when I was a
right,
senior, yes.
while being a high school level athlete.
It's impressive. And we do, for that reference, we consider all of those people or all of the businesses and companies and organizations that do invest in us, we call them our community partners. We don't look at that as a sponsorship, and it really is a partnership because we want it to be a win-win situation, and we also want them to kind of come along the ride for the year and be involved and see us at Ghosts and Goblins and Taste of Carmel, but also come to our grant receptions or get involved so that they can kind of have that great picture.
I just want to piggyback on intentionality that you mentioned, right? Excellence and intentionality around that of continuing to strive for excellence, continuing to push that, and that's where we come in. And Ms. Brown, that's, as you said, we're trying to fill gaps or encourage others or provide another opportunity, another outlet for teachers and students and staff and really the entire school community. I think we have said it in many different ways, but we're all at the same point. If at any point we had decided that we're doing well enough, some of the experiences that we now have, we take for granted wouldn't exist. Molly just referenced BizTown. It is by far the most exciting, fun place. Like, I think all adults should get to hang out there and aligns incredibly well with real world readiness and preparing students. That is, we wouldn't have had that. School resource officers wouldn't be using the challenge coins for the education and positive recognition. We hear some incredible stories. Those challenge coins are something that this foundation is excited and proud to be a part of. And for, again, the past 4 years, we already talked about BizTown, Stop the Bleed kits. Sorry. There's a number of things, and I can't think of all of them.
It was hard to pick just a few.
Stop the Bleed kits that are in every single school, right? So it is not just those, it's not just the dollars, it's the human capital, it's the opportunity, it's the connections. Excellence creates opportunity, but opportunity doesn't scale on its own. It requires a shared investment, and that shows up in participation. And that is a transition to participating, as Jen said, also as being a partner in the foundation here.
And as you're making that transition,
Yes.
I also wanted to thank your partnership with the Joseph Maley Foundation and
Yes.
disability awareness. We saw a picture of it on your slide, but that has been so impactful. I was just at Clay Center yesterday, I believe, and stepped in, and how our students are engaged through that process and the conversations they're having about including others has just been tremendous. So I just want to say thank you to the foundation. I came to you last year. I said, this is something we want to do in Carmel, and you stepped up and said, let's partner in that. So I want to thank you for that as well.
Absolutely. I was able to spend the day, or most of the day at Smoky Row with their students. And I tell you what, these second graders and kindergartners, the questions they had, I walked away, again, the future is bright. Our future is very bright. Our students are amazing. But that has been a really neat partnership to really, and it aligns very much with what we want to look at as equitable experiences across the schools that everybody can have for participation.
And Jen, I also wanted to thank you for the Stop the Bleeds, because my recollection is that those saved a life the first year that they were
did.
installed by a third-party person that was at Cherry Tree. So they matter.
These are all wonderful, excellent stories, and I think it highlights what we were hoping to accomplish here today. But like Peter said, as we're winding down our time together, I do want to talk a little bit more about what participation looks like with Carmel Education Foundation. Participation can mean so many different things. If I asked all of you right now, you would tell me something different. But it boils down, the way we look at it, at three really key areas. That's giving, serving, and amplifying. Financial giving is not going to be feasible for every individual, every corporation, so that's where giving and serving and amplifying comes in. Serving, we talked about our committee opportunities, board opportunities, attending our events. Amplifying, sharing our messaging and impact. Dr. O, you mentioned seeing what we shared on our social media. If you don't follow our social media, please do that today. But the one thing that Jen alluded to earlier is that our participation really lags behind our peers. We just recently wrapped up our Share the Love campaign, which is our annual campaign where we ask in every school in the district for a $10 gift per student. When that campaign wrapped, we didn't have even $1 per student donated over the course of that campaign. It's not to say that people aren't generous. It's not to say that our work doesn't matter. It's just a statement of fact that the support we see is lower than other peers. And Jen learns all of this through her involvement with INAPEF, the Indiana Association of Public Education Foundations, speaking to our peers. But we have to ask ourselves why this happens to the Carmel Education Foundation. Is it because the district is so excellent that there isn't any urgency? Or is it just our messaging and visibility? It's not about creating pressure for our community. It's really just about shifting our culture around giving back.
So what we're seeing with that is the excellence paradox playing out. We celebrate excellence, and we should. We love to celebrate excellence. But excellence can create that perception that nothing more is needed. So when that happens, the partnership behind the excellence becomes invisible. And we don't want to be invisible. So we're working very hard to not be invisible. Hopefully you like our new rebranding and everything, but a lot of that was with the intent because we were learning that we were somewhat invisible. People didn't know who we were. They didn't know the foundation was behind or a partner of the schools. If people only see outcomes and not that investment behind them, then participation does lag. So that's why excellence and partnership must be linked in the stories that we tell.
Our community has really built something special here with Carmel Clay Schools. But those exceptional systems, Mr. Shapiro, you said it, they don't happen or they're not sustained by accident. They sustain themselves with leadership. That's our board, our community, you all model that participation. So our schools require strong partners, and that begins with us, Carmel Clay Schools, the Carmel Education Foundation, and our community partners together. Thank you again for your time. Before we depart for the evening, I'm happy to take any final questions.
I just wanted to thank you all so much. This was a great interactive presentation. This is where we want to take our workshops. So I so appreciate, I know this took a lot of time and effort to put together. You guys didn't just show up here tonight with this presentation. I share the concern about our messaging. I share the concern when it comes to like the current in Carmel article that came out this week about some of the tough financial decisions that face us as a board. What I think is likely going to happen as a result is you get more asks and you can't meet those asks, which I know you want to meet, whether they come from the district or come from our teachers or our students, if you don't have the funding to do that. So I would just ask our community, if you've ever had a question about CEF, please contact the folks here. They're wonderful advocates. If you want to see what they do in real time, it is fun as all get out to do. It's seeing seeing our amazing kiddos in action and how your donations work. If you can't donate dollars, donate time, donate skills, do an in-kind. You know, there's lots of different ways to support us. So I'll do an ask on your behalf as well because we need that support.
And a couple quick reminders. Taste of Carmel is August 27th. So this is a big shift for us. It's been a very weird March not having Taste of Carmel. But that is our biggest fundraiser, and we're pivoting to make that the big kickoff kind of for the school year. So we're looking forward to that and look forward to seeing you all there. But thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you to our board members who are here. Thank you to Jim, is one of our board members as well. So we appreciate the time that we have been, the opportunity that we've been given. So,
I just wanted to say real quick for those watching live right now and those who will watch the video of this, where can they go to donate? What's your website? Where would they go to make a donation on the website? And then also a plug for your social media.
Oh, perfect. So our website is connected to the Carmel Clay Schools website. So it's the ccs.k12.in.us and then /foundation. And on that foundation, there's multiple places that you can click donate. But that's also the way that you can get involved and see what else is, how to follow us on social media. And yes. Thank you. So I don't know if you heard that, but type in Carmel Education Foundation to any of our social media platforms that we use are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are our primary social media. So yes, please follow us, share, comment on stories, or anything. We would really appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you once again to Ms. Penix and Carmel Education Foundation. That was wonderful. Next on our agenda, excuse me, is our discussion item, the CPAC, Ms. Wheeler and Mrs. Cashin.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. We wanted to take this opportunity to update everyone in attendance as well as the community that will watch as well as to some of the steps that have occurred since the last board meeting where we mentioned the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. So Chris and myself did have a wonderful meeting with Dr. Ostreich that we greatly appreciated, where we talked about policy 9140, as that is the current policy for Citizens Advisory Council. And we talked through some of the instances in which it's enacted right now, but also how that might be modified in the future as we continue to explore the CPAC. What we aligned on basically is that we will have to parallel path any policy changes as we are in this formulation stage of what a CPAC might look like from the district. Dr. O and administration are 100% on board and collaborative with us in this, and we are very excited to continue moving forward. So the next step that is currently proposed is that Mrs. Wheeler, Mrs. Coquet would be the ones to meet with district administration regarding what philosophically the CPAC might look like, especially given their experience within those areas within the school district, both personally and professionally, that they'd be the best two board members to have those conversations to really flesh out how does this look for our district and our community. I think currently the 9140 policy is very derived from a district perspective, and we believe that this advisory council in particular would be much more collaborative in the sense of the board working with administration and having that community element as well. We've heard from a lot of the parents that we talk to that they currently feel alone, so minimally this CPAC would be able to connect families across our district that are in the special education space and give them a community to really go to as a resource. So we envision that that next step of our two board members meeting with administration would start to really flesh out what's the mission, what's the goals, and then we'd eventually have those conversations brought back to the board for more of a work session so that we could all collaborate to see exactly what this CPAC would look like moving forward, hoping that we can really get a plan together in time for next school year. So we wanted to bring that today just to update everyone to make sure we're on the same page and then open up discussion from the board as to those next steps and where we'd like to go from here.
Great. Thank you for the update. Comments, discussion? Ms. Coquet?
I just wanted to, I had some things pulled up because I wasn't sure if anybody does watch these. Hello. I wanted to tell you when we say CPAC, what that is. It is a Special Education Parent Advisory Council. There are maybe a handful or a little more than a handful in the state of Indiana. There are more across the country. So what this is, and I'm going to read from my good friend Mendy Cooley, who helped start one in Westfield schools. What it is it shifts culture, it deepens partnerships between the school and home environments, it elevates parent engagement, and helping parent understand their role better when you're sitting there at an IEP meeting. And then the end result would be that there's a reduction in disputes and encourages early resolution because on both sides there's a greater understanding and a greater education and a greater collaboration. So there are a lot of really nice resources that I know they have already had access to. And it just, so I just wanted to explain what exactly a CPAC is when we say what that is. Some people might think it's a political action committee. It is not. It is a special education, again, a parent advisory council. So it's meant to be a collaborative relationship, again, between the school district and parents of children who have IEPs or 504s.
Go ahead, Ms. Cashin.
Mrs. Coquet, thank you again for bringing up Mendy, because Chris and I did have the opportunity to meet with her as well after your very gracious review and saying what asset she was to the community overall. So we took the time, and she was fantastic, and she focuses a lot on this type of work now. So that is also a topic we'd want to discuss, is her potentially joining that meeting with you guys when you meet with administration to kind of help flesh out how she has started the CPAC in Westfield, how she currently advises districts across the state. InSource currently provides 1 hour of her time to any school district to talk about CPAC initiatives. So that first initial meeting would actually be covered under InSource's budget. And then if we wanted her to meet with us further to help kind of moderate the work session, we would then have a minimal charge.
Just love to offer a couple of thoughts. I appreciate the work that's already been done on this. I know some of this predates the workshop session we had around special education. Some of it came back around during that conversation. And I know all of us feel pretty strongly about continuing to move this forward. And so I appreciate the momentum that we've built up here. So that's a moment of gratitude for that, because I love that we're making progress and that we're being responsive. And for me, the goal being, how do we strengthen the relationship between families in the school district, and for a group of families to feel as if they're being heard, and especially families who are unfamiliar with how to navigate something feel that they are more empowered and have access to tools. And I would feel strongly about doing that for anybody who feels like they need that. Number one. Number two, I appreciate the proposed next step of that meeting with Ms. Wheeler and Mrs. Coquet with administration. I think, without knowing obviously what comes out of that meeting, I think maybe a next step would potentially be that work discussion before we go too much further, because I'm having a hard time conceptualizing what exactly this looks like, because there's not enough information yet. And so I want to make sure, I think we all want to make sure, but I don't want to speak for anybody else. I want to make sure there's enough information available for us to discuss before we get too far down any sort of pathway. And I know that that is not anybody else's intent, but I know we're also interested in keeping momentum moving. So appreciate the information and the work that's been done so far, and look forward to the next opportunity to have more information and an update. Anybody else want to offer?
Yeah, I had some thoughts, and I think it's great that all 5 board members are in alignment with a need to do something like this, the CPAC. I think it's really it's an important thing to do, and I think we need to. When I think of policy, board policies are pretty short. There's not a lot of meat there. They're just more like, we need to implement this law, or we need to address something, and give an assignment more or less to the administration. You go figure out how you're going to do it. You say, this is what we want. Tell us how you can implement this. And I think it's important to do it right. And I think there's been a lot of sidebar discussions. I know I've had some with the administration as well. And parents that have had some difficult situations. And my point being is that we really need to do it right. And I think, yeah, there's a sense of urgency, but I think there's a sense of making sure that we understand the problem we're going to solve. What is the problem that we're solving? And I think we need to focus on that. And I think I appreciate the plan that you're presenting forward. I think it's a board decision on how do we proceed. I don't think it naturally falls in the scope of the policy liaisons. I think, ultimately you will be writing a policy, but I think we need to take a look at how do we really want to go from here. And I really appreciate Ms. Coquet offering her experiences. You've got a lot of years with a child that would fits into this category, and there's a lot of other parents that have these experiences I don't have, and I'm not sure where we all set in on that. But my point being that we really need to do it right, and I think we need to understand who is the customer. And when I'm seeing the plan, I'm seeing that we're going to involve some various people ourselves, administrators, but who's the customer? And the customer are the parents of these students of ours. 2,400 some odd students, so about 15% of our students. It's a significantly important thing we're doing. I would like to propose, at least have some discussion on it here, is that when I look at the board norm on what does the policy liaison do, there's not much material written on this. That's not meant to be a criticism, but it talks about, let me pull it up here. It's to formulate policy, work with the administration, legal counsel, and prepare policies for public and board presentation of these whatever policy changes or new ones we're putting forth. A committee is a broader, deeper way to approach something like this. When I look at our bylaw 0155, it's chartered to conduct studies, receive information, and make recommendations to the board. And if it's a board-appointed committee, it would put it before the public. In other words, it would be subject to open door laws. So the public would be able to attend. We could have public hearings, and I'm not saying how that committee would actually work, but I think there's a lot of stakeholders that need to be involved in it, and I think we need to have some of these kind of a survey thing, and I think maybe even having a survey or like what was done. I think Chris and I had a discussion on this, that one of the really effective approaches that you did with the strategic plan was to have these sessions where different times of day so parents can join in, because you think of our customer base, the parents of 2,400 students. I'm sure there's a lot of valuable input we can get in, distill it, and make sure that whatever we do, that they're the ones we need to satisfy. And so I recommend we take a look at putting together an ad hoc committee that has a charter, very limited focus, that just figures out how we want CPAC to look. It's beyond policy. It's how are we going to do it. So it gets involved with the administration. What's the administration's involvement on it? What are the problems we're really trying to solve? So, and I'd like to hear maybe tonight, Dr. Ostrak, you could provide some of your perspective on what you'd like, or what questions you might have with what we're talking about going forward with here.
Well, thank you very much. We're excited. We're excited to have the CPAC here in Carmel Clay Schools. And when we do anything, we're going to do it well. And that's all we know. That's all we know. And so I think it is important that we know what the purpose is. We know what the outcomes are. We do our research, which I think is what's being proposed here tonight. And so I know Dr. Dudley's excited. I know Mrs. Fairchild, myself, we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work. And so for us, as an administration, and as I met with Mrs. Cashin and I met with Ms. Wheeler, we just need clarity on how you want us to move forward. And whatever the board decides on that, we're ready to go. So we're excited about this opportunity. If the board, if you think that it's a good idea to do a survey or gather feedback or meet with consultants or whatever, we are open to all of that. And we just need to know what path you'd like us to take. You talked about it a little bit from a policy perspective, but then when it's time to roll up our sleeves and get to work, we're ready to go. So we're excited about this.
Yeah. Can I talk
Miss-
too?
Yeah, of course you can.
Thanks.
I need to get
So-
there.
Yeah. I think Greg, I hear what you're saying, and I actually agree with you. I don't think it's just a policy issue, which is why we're bringing in Mrs. Kuge, which I think was your recommendation. Um, and then I think a workshop is the right next step. I'm not sure I think a committee is the right next step because I think we can do everything you talked about doing in a workshop. But we want to make sure we know what we're doing in that workshop, which I think is part of what this meeting with the administration and Ms. Kuke, and hopefully Mendy, can help be our facilitator with that because, kind of what I envision is let's figure out how we want that to look so that we can have that broader discussion. Um, Also, I think why Mrs. Cashin brought up policy 9140 is I think what we're probably talking about with the CPAC doesn't really fit in that existing policy. Not to make it a policy committee issue, but rather to note that what we're talking about is a bit different, and at least the way I envision it, will eventually be more parent-led. That it truly is a parent-led group, and they decide for themselves what direction to go. Are we going to have a community meeting where we can all get together? Are we going to have a sensory input day? Do we have feedback we want to provide to the administration on a particular program? That is for that group to decide. But however, because that is a relatively new concept, I feel like we need some board and administration fostering of getting to the point where that group is self-orienting, for lack of a better word. So, I don't anticipate it's something that the board has its hands in forever. And yeah, please, yeah, speak out if you agree. But I see Mrs. Kuke nodding. But I think because it's different, because it's new, and we all want to make sure we have that foundation of a common understanding. And and in our meeting with Dr. O, he was like, "Tell me what you want to do," and I'm ready to do it. And my response was, I'm not sure I'm ready to tell you what to do. I'm not a subject matter expert on this. Let's get those subject matter experts in the room and figure that out. And I kind of agree, like I want the momentum to continue, but I'd rather do it well than do it fast. So I think everybody's on the same page in that regard. I also, just for people's edification, because we talked about this a little bit, at our last workshop, the state administrative code on this is Title 511 IAC 7-36-1. It's called Parent and Community Participation, which I think is a really good title for what we're trying to foster. And it says, a public agency, which is us, is encouraged to establish or support the establishment of a parent advisory council, committee, task force, or group. The public agency's goals for a parent group may include, but are not limited to, the following. 1, supporting student and family membership in the school community, which is what we're talking about. 2, inviting parents of students with disabilities to participate on school decision-making committees. And 3, fostering effective communications with families focused on student learning and development. I think those are 3 great goals. Could we add more goals? Absolutely. But that's what the state gives us when they're talking about these concepts. And I've heard all 3 of those things mentioned today and in previous meetings. So I think that hopefully gives folks, we're talking, special education disability community, inviting parents to participate in decision-making. I don't know if decision-making is the word I would use, but to have input on decision-making is probably the phraseology that I would use. And then fostering that effective communication with our families. So I hope that is helpful.
Thank you. Ms. Koke?
I mean, I think in the end, we all are on the same page, honestly, this evening, even if it might seem like I think what I hear, I feel like everyone's saying, is the next step would be to have a meeting, if possible, with Ms. Cooley and administration and some board members, and see what we do need to do next, what the next steps are. I think, if I hear Greg correctly, what he was kind of trying to say was at one point, when we get to those next step beyond this next meeting, would be to consider having,
I think, I don't know, committee or what, like a meeting like what we had, listening sessions, like a feedback session like what we had with the strategic planning, where, you know, we maybe have some questions that we ask and we have groups at tables and parent concerns, parent wins, we have parents there because at the end of the day, right, we want the parents and the district to have this, to be equal in this partnership. So I think that's what you were trying to say. I think we want maybe, you know, somewhere where we at some point, not too far down the line, begin to involve parents. So this doesn't just look like we're trying to railroad something through. I know that's not what we're trying to do, but I don't want it to look like that, and I want parents to feel heard.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the purpose of a committee, and we have a tendency in this district to not have committees. It was in our, it's actually in our norms to say we don't use committees. I think the board norm is not the most current one that's online. We may want to take a look at that, but because there was discussion on this before. Other districts do use committees. It's an efficient way to mobilize a team of the right people. I think having it, you know, sessions with the parents and that are open, and maybe there's a different way to do it. I don't know. I don't think it naturally fits in the scope of what the policy liaisons would do. I really don't. I think we need to have open it up to say what parents might want to provide input. So it's one way or another. That's I think what Mrs. Coquet was catching on and underlining is that, you know, how are we going to advertise to the community that says we're going to have a hearing, an open, like a hearing kind of a format where, you know, you can come in and share your thoughts and approaches. And I'm just not. I'm seeing it just seems like when I look at the plan, I'm not seeing that opened up. I'm just not sure how. But you know, again, I'm not on this committee at all. I mean, my name wasn't even on the list of the board members that are participating because we have to watch our. You know, if you guys are out meeting, having these things, and having discussions, and it's just two, then you're not subject to open door laws. And I think that's exactly the opposite of what we need to do on this. I'm going to call it a project. It's where we need to say, hey, now's the time to open it up. We're going to go solve a problem. So we need to really define the problem. We need to define the outcomes. I think we had a conversation the other day, Dr. Osterheit and I, about, you'd suggested that how do we know, what's our baseline? You know, what's the problem that we're trying to improve the outcome of where we are today? How are we going to take it to the next level? But how are we going to know that what we're doing is going to take it to that? So there's just there's a lot more to it, I think, than, you know, some meetings with a consultant, a workshop where, you know, we're talking amongst ourselves and the parents are on that side of that ribbon. I think we need to make it a committee and really open it up. And I would like to make a motion to that point at some point when it's the right time to do it.
So I want to jump in for a second because I hear everything you're saying, and I think in my mind there's a misalignment, but maybe I'm mistaken. What I'm hearing, or what I heard proposed as a next step, was this conversation with Kristen and Chris and Dr. O, right? Right, and a couple of members of administration. And then we would have a work session, and I don't want to think about it in this setup, right? But we would have a meeting where we would then discuss what was talked about there, what some potential opportunities are, not a presentation, but a work session where we would have an open discussion, where one of the things that could come out of that very well might be, let's do a survey, let's have a committee. Like we as a board in a public setting would have a very open conversation. All of us, with administration, work through. We'd have more information to be able to make informed discussion and informed decision making about next steps, which may include all of the things that have been mentioned this evening. Right, so we're not. there isn't a decision being made in this next step that was just outlined.
Yep.
Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you wanted to say something else. I saw you had your hand up. So
Well,
I didn't mean to
no,
jump
no,
in before you.
good.
I wanted to make sure I was not confused as to where things were.
Well, I think there's some confusion, Mr. Brown, because we're not saying this is a policy decision. It ended up starting with us because of the power that that policy gives to the district to create these types of committees, that based on moving forward, which is why I said we had to parallel path this, because based on those next conversations, and John, you are correct, the intent of that work session would be for us to have this collaborative conversation. And one of the reasons we wanted to add it to the agenda today is so that we could have this narrative as well, is we can invite parents to that conversation. I do think, though, Kristen has been championing a CPAC for 2 years and lives and breathes this every day. Mindy's also from that environment and is that point of expert. Chris has lived this herself. I've lived it myself within certain parameters of my children as well. I do think we as community members could expedite this the more we talk to more special education people in the community and bring it forward. I will say my fear of starting a committee is it will elongate how long this takes for us to go active versus us being able to talk to people in the community as their board members and bring those perspectives. But then certainly we could invite other people. I mean, CEF, non-school district employees all here today and did a wonderful presentation. Thank you for how collaborative it was. So we could explore that as well. But as John kind of summarized for us from this, is that meeting would be us really sitting down and saying, here's what we think we need to do to get this going. It's not necessarily saying we want 15 people, here's the 15 people, let's go. And then also leaving some room for once that CPAC is established for them to have the power of their voice to say how they enact whatever mission and goals we put forward for that CPAC. So I think what we're seeing right now is just the evolution of our workshop topics is where we're going to hopefully have that one really be us digging in and having a lot of great conversation of what the board wants so that it is very clear to administration of, hey, here's what the community and the board's saying, let's go get this done.
Thank you. I think it's also an evolution of talking about work sessions versus business meetings versus workshop, and those things are not always the same. And that's something I know we as a board have talked a little bit about recently, but I think that that's an important thing, right? The importance of having open public discussion prior to making decisions is legally required, but two, doing our work as part of a meeting is necessary because of open door law, and that we need to think differently about the way our meetings are structured sometimes in order to make that happen. And so having a work meeting where we are literally sitting at a table, not at the dais, and having the conversation of doing the work of digging into what could this look like and what could this be, and using this as the example. There are going to be other times this year where it's going to be other things. We all know the work that lies ahead of us this year, and we're going to have to do it for other topics as well. It's just, that's the way it is. Ms. Wheeler.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Mr. Brown, I agree with everything you're saying about the input and things like that. I would just ask, and I'm not telling you not to make your motion, but I just don't think we're ready for a committee yet. My ask is that you let us get there, because this next meeting with the administration and the work session that we're talking about is how we get there. And as Mr. Shapiro said, it may very well be a committee comes out of that. Right now, I don't know what to tell the committee to do yet. I mean, we're like, I'm still trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. We have administrative input. Everybody has buy-in. And I will tell you, I'm a committee for a board of 5 people. I'm not anti-committee, but it feels a little bit like this is a meeting that could have been an email. I worry about it becoming something else, especially when we don't, at least I don't, know what I'd tell that committee or ask that committee to do today. I just don't.
So if I can interject then, or see if I paraphrase what I'm hearing, is that, so we're still defining how we're going to go do this. Okay, I wasn't clear on that. It sounded like there's a plan, and the plan looked okay as the first initial thoughts, looked really thin. So if the work session, and we probably have to do a special session, given that we're kind of booked up for the rest of the year, and I'm fine with that. Let's
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think that's to be determined if it's a special session, if it's,
Okay.
if it's reshuffling the deck. I mean, I think we've got an outline, but it's, I mean, nothing is carved in stone
Yeah.
per se, right? I mean,
And we could even use a regular meeting. You know, why not?
TBD. I think there's more to come. More shall be revealed,
yeah,
as they
that-
like to say.
That's good. I appreciate the clarification. And I'd like us just to think about maybe trying an ad hoc committee on this as an opportunity to say, how would it work? And I really want to make sure we open it up to the parents that, I mean, you're hearing from parents. I've heard from parents. But it's, when I think of, well, how many kids were that of the 2,400? It's pretty small. You know, I'd like to make sure we really open it up and say, hey, can anyone in the community come in and help us really take this to the next level and really make it an incredibly effective implementation. And so, very good. Thank you.
I think, Greg, I think what you're sharing is incredibly valuable. I think similar to the strategic plan, the opportunity for as many people to offer feedback and share experiences is really important. And we want to make sure that that opportunity exists. And I think there's also balance is not the right word, but there's an opportunity to share experience and share feedback and also ensure that the design of what this will be is serving purpose long beyond the time that the five of us are sitting here, right? In terms of offering expertise and relationship building between community and district. And so offering the feedback is helpful, like sort of at the ground floor, but we want to make sure that the elevator goes all the way up to the top floor too, right? So great. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else, but this is a really helpful conversation. Yeah, no, thank you, everybody. Okay, moving along, Dr. Ostrike, Superintendent's Report.
Well, good evening again, President Shapiro, members of the board. Want to say thank you to our Carmel Education Foundation and the executive board here tonight. A wonderful presentation. I'm a huge supporter of the Carmel Education Foundation. I personally have been on an education foundation board in my previous career, and just appreciate the work you do each and every day to innovate, support, enhance the work that we're doing at the district level. And we are so fortunate and lucky to have partners like all of you tonight. So just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you being here this evening. Before highlighting several outstanding accomplishments across our district, I do want to begin by expressing sincere appreciation for the incredible professionalism demonstrated across our schools today. So early this morning, Carmel Clay Schools received multiple swatting calls. Want to thank our administrators, our teachers, and staff across the district for their calm and professional response. I would especially like to recognize Mr. David Woodward, Mrs. Emily Bauer, our safety team, along with the Carmel Police Department. We have Officer Gossett here from Clay Center Elementary this morning. He was at Clay Center 6 a.m., maybe before that, early in the morning, sweeping the building, working with the Carmel Police Department to ensure that our buildings were clear and they're safe. And we are grateful for you, Officer Gossett, and I'm very fortunate that you're here today. You're going to need some rest tonight after the job you did. So let's put our hands together for Officer Gossett. So Officer Gossett's partnership, the Carmel Police Department's partnership is invaluable to our schools. You're invaluable to having our schools remain safe and secure, and that we shared accurate information with our community as soon as we could. So grateful for everyone involved today. Additionally, we get the message out that our schools have been cleared and we're safe, and these were swatting calls. Then we experienced severe weather right as that was happening this morning on the commute with our high school students. I want to thank our bus drivers, our transportation team, Gary Clevenger, our students, our teachers, our administrators for their patience, their flexibility as we navigated those conditions as well safely. Our transportation staff works tirelessly every day to ensure that our students are transported and arrive safely, and today was just another example of their professionalism and commitment to our schools and commitment to the safety of our kids. They were mid-route. They stopped at the closest school. We got them in the building. We got them safe and secure, and they sheltered in place. we have some great teams and great people here in Carmel, and so I just want to say a special thank you and gratitude to everyone involved today with the events that we had this morning. And then during that, we had our expedition last session here today. So we had members of our community, we had city councilors here, we had parents, we had business leaders that we were teaching all about Carmel Clay Schools. I was able to do a presentation. So I was presenting, and then after my presentation, I went out and did a video to the community and updating the board as much as I could. And so it was all hands on deck today, and everyone worked beautifully together. And so we have a fantastic district and a lot of great people. So just wanted to say thank you for that. Now, I would like to highlight several incredible student accomplishments across Carmel Clay Schools. Recently, our radio, TV, and journalism teams, the Highlight and also the Pinnacle, they traveled to New York City and they received numerous national awards. I'd be here all night if I would say them all. Our Hounds HQ teams as well are receiving awards left and right at the national level. So we have a long tradition of excellence in our student media production and storytelling. These recognitions certainly highlight their incredible creativity, technical skill, and dedication of the students and their advisors. And also a thank you to the parents as well. Peter's out there. I know Peter's son Marcus is heavily involved in our student media team, as well as students across the district. So congratulations. I also wanted the community to know that our Teacher of the Year nominations are still live. You can go to our social media pages. You can recommend a teacher for the Teacher of the Year. We have committees that select those teachers at every building. We've already received 524 nominations across the district. That's more than we had last year already, and we're still open for business until Sunday at midnight. So get those Teacher of the Year nominations in. Just a testament to the fantastic staff and teachers that we have here in the district. We talked about mock trial earlier, and so I wanted to follow up again. State champs. So they went all the way from county to regionals to state, and so our mock trial team are Indiana state champions, and we're very proud of them, and hopefully we'll recognize them at a future board meeting as well. Also, DECA, Carmel High School DECA, our business team and leadership team, they qualified 91 students for the International Career Development Conference, which is one of the largest and most competitive student business competitions in the world. 91. Wow. And so we're very excited, and we wish them the best as they go on to that international competition. And then, as you've seen time and time again here at our board meeting, our high school speech and debate team, once again, are state champions. And so we're very proud of them. They'll come back and we'll recognize our speech and debate team as well. Earlier, a few weeks ago, our Cyber Hounds, Cyber Patriot team won the state championship as well. And I believe this is their 6th consecutive state championship in a row. So the work that is being done in the classroom, through our student clubs, through these state level, national level, international level competitions, our students are thriving. Our Carmel Quiz Bowl team, I think this weekend, just won state as well. My goodness, the success our kids and our families are experiencing is just tremendous. And then finally, a little bell ringer here for us tonight. So Saturday night, if you were watching online or you were there with Mr. Shapiro and I were there cheering on the Greyhounds, our Carmel basketball team in sectionals, not expected to win whatsoever, took on the #1 ranked and nationally ranked top 16 and undefeated 24-0, 23-0 at the time, Fishers Tigers, and Carmel came out victorious in a thriller, 50-49, and they are sectional champions once again. And the Greyhounds move on, and they will play Fort Wayne Snyder at Newcastle. There will be plenty of tickets, as Newcastle is the largest high school gym in the nation, about an hour from here. So we hope. We also have a fan bus going to Newcastle. I was so excited to see that. And so go ahead and cheer on our Carmel boys basketball team. The atmosphere was simply electric. It was unbelievable. Fishers is what going into the game was 83-2. Now they're 83-3, and two of those over the last 3 years, two of those losses were to our Carmel Greyhounds. So just a quick shout out, Coach Osborne. My goodness, one of the best X&O coaches in the nation. He is simply phenomenal, and the whole coaching team, our student athletes who did a phenomenal job, and also I want to kudos to their families as well for all the support, as you heard Mr. Inskeep talk about the support it takes from our parents and our families to sustain this level of excellence. And so congratulations to our boys team, whether it's academics, whether it's performing arts, athletics, career pathways. As we heard tonight, our Greyhounds continue to demonstrate what is possible when students are supported by outstanding teachers, coaches, mentors, and their family. Thank you to everyone across Carmel Clay Schools who continues to help our students succeed. And take a look right behind me, our vision, together we achieve. We'll continue to do that. Thank you very much.
Can we clap just?
Oh.
Thanks, Dr. O. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Pardon? Yeah, yeah.